The next speaker is the Honorable Indra Chandrapal.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, please permit me to express my congratulations to you on your appointment as a Speaker of the National Assembly in this 11th Parliament. Likewise, I wish to express my congratulations to all the members of the new government on their respective appointments. I also wish to congratulate all the new members of Parliament on their selection to this esteemed chamber and hope that their tenure will be a rewarding one for themselves and, more importantly, for Guyana. The theme of 2015 budget, a fresh approach to the good life in a green economy, seems a good enough title. But as I examine the theme, I had to ask myself, what exactly is this fresh approach that the Honorable Minister is referring to? How can it be a fresh approach when there are very few new policies and initiatives? Almost all the major development programs and projects that are referred to were conceived and initiated by the previous government. They have simply been rebranded with new titles. The Minister of Finance, in his introductory remarks on page 2, section 1.4, said, and I quote, "Guyanese people came out in their thousands. They were determined to bring an end to the morass, hopelessness, and helplessness that had enveloped our country. They were determined to bring an end to a government that had wreaked havoc on our society, sapping it of its energy and stripping it of its dignity and dynamism." I think, Mr. Speaker, that the minister must have extracted that from a document dating back to the early 90s. What he has described is exactly what happened to bring the PPPC into government in 1992. The Guyana of today, which the PPP has been shaping for the last 23 years, is infinitely better than the Guyana his colleagues left us back then. Honorable members, the PPPC is proud of our decades of sterling service to the Guyanese people, but our work is not done. We recognize that many important members of the new APNU AFC government were also important members of the PNC dictatorship that brought great suffering upon this nation. It is for this reason that the PPPC will work tirelessly through this National Assembly to ensure that history does not repeat itself. To more than 200,000 Guyanese who came out and voted for the PPPC and won us 7 out of the 10 regions, we are eternally grateful for your confidence in our support. To those who did not vote for us, we endeavor to work even harder to gain your support in the future. The PPPC members of this National Assembly are committed to defending the rights and representing the best interests of every single Guyanese, whether you voted for us or not. And Mr. Speaker, it would be opportune to remind the honorable members on the government side that only a single vote in Region 8 is responsible for you having the majority in this National Assembly. Please don't ever forget that. Mr. Speaker, when the PPP came into office in 1992, President Dr. Jagan said and I quote, "There will be no recriminations, and no one should be afraid of the government going after them," end of quote. This was in response to a top official of the then PNC government who was creating hysteria in the public service by telling the workers that their jobs would be taken away. A certain journalist who, in revisiting the PPPC tenure in office, made reference to 40 persons who he claimed were discriminated against by the PPP when they came into power in 1992, even though some were implicated in the old age pension fraud, among other things. So, in 23 years later, 40 were removed, and now we have more than 3,000 persons in less than 100 days. Is this one of your fresh approach, Honorable Minister? The PPP has highlighted numerous instances where persons were sent on the breadline without any proper explanation or justification. Additionally, many qualified and experienced professionals have been sent on leave and have been replaced by less qualified persons who were loyal to the present government. And later on, I will give you the latest person who has just become a victim. In other cases, Mr. Speaker, persons who have kept their jobs have claimed that they're being harassed at their places of work due to their association with the past government. We're happy that some prominent voices in society are now speaking to this issue of arbitrary dismissal. The honorable members of the government side during the elections claimed that they would bring back dignity, righteousness, and respect. What is dignified, righteous, or respectful about what you are doing? You have violated the constitutional rights of these workers to employment by your actions. It seems to me, based on your action, that anyone who is viewed possibly as a PPPC supporter has no right to employment. I call on all Guyanese to stand united against this discrimination. Mr. Speaker, the beauty of our country and our people lies in our diversity. When you start going after people in this manner, you are destroying the freedom to have diverse views, whether on politics or anything else. This discrimination also has serious economic repercussions. The environment for doing business will not be conducive to those who feel that their association with or support of the past government will hamper their business. This can lead to loss of jobs, flight of capital, and loss of investment opportunities that can benefit all Guyanese.
Already started.
The new government has been busy at creating an oversized bureaucracy of 4 vice presidents, 27 ministers, 20 advisors, and numerous others. This is clearly a case of creating jobs for a loyal few at a tremendous financial burden to the nation. Despite this large bureaucracy, the government still found it necessary to dismantle the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports. Think of the resources wasted in rebranding the various ministries. It would be necessary to remind you, honorable members, that when the PPPC came into office in 1992, they did not seek to dismantle the structure of the various ministries. Some changes were made. Some changes were made in 1998 with the formation of the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, as well as the Ministry of Human Services, to give greater emphasis to youth and women. Maybe this is a good time in our country's history for Guyanese to become involved in a discourse to the type of government structure that they would like to put in place to prevent situations such as the one that we now have. And what about the good life, Mr. Speaker? The good life referred to in the theme of the budget, this is a goal which we all aspire to. This goal must form part of the collective psyche which has to start from home, where we must inculcate in our siblings and families the value of hard work. The state must create the enabling environment for a better life. And based on the recent action by the government, I am not convinced that this enabling environment can be provided. The good life can only be realized when all are treated with an even hand, irrespective of their differences and opinions. Mr. Speaker, the minister in his budget presentation made reference on page 4 when he said, and I quote, "We recognize that Guyana would not develop, nay, survive intact, if the people are not allowed to participate meaningfully in the affairs of the country, whether individually or through their elected representatives of the national, regional, and local levels." I wish to remind the minister that meaning consultation is something which the PPPC embraces. In 2008, more than 100 civil society organizations representing religious, business, labor, women, youth, and Amerindian interests, among others, formed the National Stakeholders Forum. Over 16 such stakeholders forums were organized on various issues such as crime, violence against women, the budget and parliament, among others, where 1,600 representatives representing over 200,000 citizens. That is consultation. All of the presidents under the PPPC embraced cultural celebrations at their official residence, where all religious groups were invited and participated in. Ministries also undertook consultations with stakeholders in various policy decisions. The PPP started the process of giving a good life to our people by ensuring that the goods and services they require were made available to them and that they benefited from continuous improvements to their quality of life. A concerted effort was made to expand as far as possible opportunities for everyone. Unfortunately, this is still a work in progress because there are still many who are vulnerable and in need of various types of assistance. We may not have done all the things we wanted to in the way we wanted to. However, the sum total is that we were able to change the face of our country by undertaking numerous actions in the 5 terms that we were elected. And what about the green economy? Was this not a major aspect of the PPP's agenda since 1992? We have worked extremely hard to move Guyana towards a low-carbon development path. And did we not undertake a whole plethora of measures to safeguard the environment and support sustainable development? Did we not put measures in place for Guyana to benefit from the agreement with Norway, where $250 million US has been pledged to support the development of a low-carbon economy? Mr. Speaker, through the Norway agreement, Guyana and its people stand to benefit from many major green initiatives and the low-carbon development strategy. But we are now informed that the Amila Falls hydropower is going to be discarded. I hope it is not true, Mr. Speaker. It is such a shame that such an important project that is expected to improve national development, provide jobs, provide energy security, and help us develop into a successful green economy is now being thrown away. The green economy is nothing new for Guyana, honorable members. But what we are seeing now is more of the color green, everywhere, with little traces of yellow. Green carpets, green curtains, green walls, and green chairs in state buildings. And this seems to be the new trend. You even have NDC vehicles painted with the same color. And to top it off, honorable members, the market vendors at La Penitence are told that they have to paint their stalls in the same color. Wow, isn't it great? We had, Mr. Speaker, honorable member, we had paramountcy of the party for 3 decades. And I do hope, I really do hope that this is not where we are heading again. For government buildings and public office, we need to stay neutral and not impose any party color on the citizens of the country. We abide by that rule, Mr. Greenwich. The other trend, see where there are red chairs anywhere. The other trend, which is fashionable, is a forensic audit. I had been a member of the Public Accounts Committee for some time, and I have often heard the now Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Finance criticizing the previous government on procedures to ensure accountability. So I find it very strange that now he's sitting on the opposite side, he feels justified in his action of choosing whichever auditor he wants, without even going through the correct procedures. Did I hear someone say what is wrong with that? I would like to ask whether the Office of the Auditor General, which is the authorized entity to undertake audits, had any role to play in these audits. I would like to ask, I haven't finished, honorable members, I would like to ask what the costs for these forensic audits are so far. I am sure it was not done for free, or maybe for the love of Guyana and the return to righteousness and good governance, it was free. However, I heard different amounts being touted. Some say as much as $200 million. Maybe it is rumor coming. On Tuesday, 18th August, the minister within the Ministry of Finance referred to a number of accounting firms that were involved in the forensic audits. Minister, can you please provide us with the names and amounts that were allocated to each firm? Is it true, Honorable Minister, that because of time, you are unable to advertise for these audits? I'm sure it couldn't be true, because you're a stickler for accountability and touted the mantra of accountability and transparency. So I don't think it is true, you are an honorable man. What about all the new people who are now employed to fill the places of those whose services were terminated? Were these positions advertised? Where can I find those advertisements? Are these contract workers? Are they being paid the same amount as the workers they are replacing? Where is the outrage, honorable ministers and members of this assembly? Those who attacked the previous government and everything seems to be very silent. Mr. Speaker, the coalition has promised to make us comparable to Singapore. We would all be happy if that happens. But that dream will not materialize when you start by removing capable and hardworking people from their jobs without any proper evaluation. We talk about the brain drain, yet we are prepared to let go of people because we perceive them to be supporters of the PPPC. You have started your term in office in bad faith. All those persons have families who depend on them for their survival. Imagine a parent's pain when they have to tell their children that they have no job. Mr. Speaker, the constitutional reform process of 2003 saw the establishment of the Rights Commission. These commissions were set up in 2009 and started to function in 2010. At no time was any attempt made by the previous government to interfere or to get involved in the business of these commissions. I have noted with interest that the allocations for these commissions are now under the Ministry of Social Protection, Ministry of Indigenous Peoples, and the Ministry of the Presidency. It would be useful, honorable members, it would be useful to remind the honorable members of this assembly of Chapter 21G, which states, and I quote, "A commission shall be independent, impartial, and shall discharge its functions fairly. A commission shall be founded by direct charge upon the consolidated fund in accordance with Article 222A. The minister within the Ministry of Finance, in his budget presentation, said on Tuesday, the 18th August, that the passage of the constitutional amendment was to ensure that the Ministry of Finance stop interfering and meddling in the affairs of independent constitutional bodies. Are you saying, Honorable Minister, that the Ministry of Social Protection and the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs are autonomous agencies? Oh yes, thank you very much. And social cohesion. And that by placing the allocation under these ministries, they will not come under political interference? Constitution 212I states, the Human Rights Commission Secretariat shall be the secretariat for all the commissions established under Article 212I. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I believe it is a violation of the Constitution by placing these Rights Commission under the ministries identified. These should have been placed under the National Assembly rather than political operatives. That's right. I also wish to remind the members of this Assembly that the processes in electing those who form part of the Commission were completely open. And again, the innuendo of political interference is utterly baseless. The National Assembly had oversight over the whole process.
You have 10 minutes remaining.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, sir. Guyanese are still trying to come to grips with a fresh approach in the way in which the ministries are now branded. The creation of a Ministry of Social Protection was quite a novel one, and therefore I was interested to see what its designation was. And in looking at the official Gazette of 6th of June 2015, I have noted equalities and ethnic relations fall under this ministry. I also noted, Mr. Speaker, on page 44 of the budget speech under social cohesion, the Minister of Finance said, and I quote, "There is a clear nexus between social cohesion and nation building. A social cohesion is an intricate interplay of culture, geographic space, language, religion, race, social phenomena, and status, and provides impetus for economic prosperity," end of quote. All this may be true, but my question is, how will this be undertaken by the said ministry? I know, Mr. Speaker, that the Constitution provides for that equality, and the Ethnic Relations Commission has a very wide mandate, including some of the aspirations alluded to, and I want to make reference to them.
And you doing it now?
Article 21D of the Constitution provides for the functions of the Ethnic Relations Commission, and the functions are: A, provide equality of opportunity between persons of different ethnic groups, and to promote harmony and good relations between such persons. Promote the elimination of all forms of discrimination on the basis of ethnicity. Discourage and prohibit persons, institutions, political parties, and associations from indulging in, advocating, or promoting discrimination or discriminatory practices on the ground of ethnicity. Foster a sense of security among all ethnic groups by encouraging and promoting the understanding, acceptance, and tolerance of diversity in all aspects of national life, and promoting full participation by all ethnic groups in the social, economic, cultural, and political life of the people. And then it goes on to talk about the composition of the Ethnic Relations Commission. It says, it shall consist of not less than 5 nor more than 15 members nominated by entities by a consensual mechanism determined by the National Assembly, including entities, representatives of religious bodies, the labor movement, the private sector, youth and women. After the entities are determined by the votes of not less than 2/3 of all elected members of the National Assembly. The question I would like to ask honorable members and Mr. Speaker, I wish to put to you is, and the question I would like to put to you is, where do you think those ideals will be better served? Under the Ministry of Social Protection, who is a political operative, or will it be under the Ethnic Relations Commission as constituted by the National Assembly?
Put it the right way.
Mr. Speakers, all the Rights Commission comes under the ambit of the 3rd schedule, in which these commissions will have a direct charge on the consolidated fund. As I pointed out earlier, this is a clear attempt to violate the Constitution, and all Guyanese who believe in the protection of civil liberties and constitutional rights ought to take note. Mr. Speaker, a number of organizations and individuals have made the case for more women to be included on government boards. Not only should there be more women, but we would like to see more people of all ethnic groups in the composition of these boards. We have agreed as lawmakers to the principle of 1/3 women in decision-making bodies in the Constitution, and I hope that this principle will be respected to and adhered to in a much broader way. Guyana is well respected in the Caribbean and further a field for being proactive on women's rights and empowerment. It is my
You have 5
fervent-
minutes remaining, honourable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my fervent hope that some of the positive and progressive measures adopted would not be cast aside because it was done by the PPPC. And in this regard, I hope that the Women's Leadership Institute, which was established after the 4th World Conference of Women, will remain a flagship program for underprivileged women and those who do not have formal education. Mr. Speaker, we constantly refer to the truism that Guyana is a land of 6 peoples, and in recognition of that reality, we are closely watching the actions of the government as they undertake the people's business. We were vilified by those who were opposed to the PPP when they sought to paint a picture that we were not ruling in a balanced way, and the supporters of the PNC were not treated with an even hand. This is far from the truth. And we have the evidence to support it, Mr. Speaker. Every action taken in all sectors, whether it was the old age pension, the provision of school uniform, the spectacle care, the difficult circumstances program, housing infrastructure, scholarship, 1 laptop per family, etc., were done in a fair manner. The PPPC is keeping an eye on all acts of discrimination and victimization. And Mr. Speaker, we will be making the necessary recommendation on behalf of the people who voted for us. I have listened to the Honorable Minister, Ms. Amna Ali, when she talked about all the things that the Ministry of Social Cohesion will be doing. I hope, Honorable Member, we are not revisiting the Ministry of National Mobilization, please. Because, no, dear, I don't worry about these little things. We know how to fight, and we will fight. And as I said before, we will expose all the acts of discrimination, Mr. Speaker. I'm quoting from iNews, in which it's revealed that Javon Stephen has been earmarked to occupy the post of Regional Health Officer for Region 6. However, his selection is not sitting well with some people who have described him as an unqualified person for the job. A news source revealed that Stephen has been acting in management capacity of the New Amsterdam Hospital since the Regional Health Authority was disbanded by the government. Dr. Jordan, who explained that the administration need persons who are vibrant and willing to get the job done. It was Dr. Norton who revealed that Stephen is earmarked to be the Regional Health Officer for Region 6. The Health Minister pointed out that if one were to follow the statutes governing such appointment, there would hardly be anyone willing to do the job of the Regional Health Officer. He said, this is where the cream is. He said that most of the qualified persons that take up such position do a lackluster performance and just go through the motions of holding the post. The problem, he said, in the Region 6 area is that we have to put people who we know will do the work, who will go and make certain that hospital and huts and health centers are visited right up the Oriala-Siparuta area, right down the Berbice River and around the coast. Minister said, if he wait for qualification, this is what Minister is saying, if he wait for qualifications,
There's 2 minutes
we
remaining,
will not
Honourable
be
Member.
able to fill any of the health posts.
Honourable
Said-
Member, you have 2 minutes remaining.
I heard you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. Who added that if the statutes were followed, the Regional Health Officer for Region 7 and the Director of Health Services may be jobless. It's such a shame. You now have, honourable members, the opportunity to speak about the largest budget because we did not leave the country insolvent as you had indicated earlier. If it was so, you would not have been able to present such a budget. We have left you a country that has moved leaps and bounds. Let us see how you will move it further. I thank you.
I thank the Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Walter Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on Christ, the solid rock I stand, and all other ground is sinking sand. I rise this afternoon in support of the 2015 budget titled A Fresh Approach to a Good Life